Good morning, Rob.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Happy St. David's Day.
Happy St. David's Day. What a great day to be doing an interview.
Rob, can you introduce yourself? Because this interview that goes out to London Rail members, American Rail members, they know I'm going to interview you because we've been trying to do it for the last, I would say, 3 weeks. So they're already primed. They know who you are, but I want you to tell us who you are, where you come from, and what it is that you actually do.
Okay. No pressure then. Again, apologies for having not been able to come in the last few weeks, but I had a family bereavement, so that's obviously taken a bit of my time up. But no, in terms of me, I'm a Swansea boy through and through. I was born just up the road, actually, in Newport, but my parents moved here when I was about 3 and studied here, went to university here, then moved to London for a little while to pick up a few jobs, and then moved back to the area, joined the DVLA, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, which is a national government department, got into work in terms of major projects, delivering those for government in terms of my professional life, but also started to pursue a political career and became an elected member for Morriston Ward in Swansea, which is the biggest ward in Swansea, 5 councillors. Then in 2012 became the cabinet member for finance, and in 2014 became the leader of the City and County of Swansea, which is, proud day for me. Amongst my other jobs as leader, I'm also the deputy leader of the Welsh Local Government Association, so the deputy leader of local councils in Wales, and I'm also chair of the City Region Board, so the regional joint committee, which is the economic partnership we use for delivering economic change in the region, and very pleased to have signed a deal with the UK government and the Welsh government about a couple of years ago to attract £1.3 billion of investment to Swansea and the wider region. So a couple of jobs going on the go there. It's a busy, busy time.
How do you manage to pack all that in such a short space of time?
Yeah, sometimes I wish there were 28 hours in the day. It is a real challenge, and it doesn't leave much time for family life and for private life, and that's perhaps one of the downsides of having a high profile role. But no, I wouldn't give it up. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity, and I've always been of the view that you only get one chance to do this, and you've got to give it your all. So that's what I'm doing. But it is a stress on days, good days and bad days, like every job. But overall, I really enjoy it.
Brian Rose is the founder of London Rail, and he was from New York, and then, like you, went to London in 2006, I believe, and started London Rail. And it's taken him longer than your kind of year span to establish a huge platform called London Rail. Now, I picked up what you said, that one of the jobs you did was in London, so tell us about that. That's of interest.
So my first job in London was a management accountant for the post office. Not a job I hugely enjoyed, I got to say, but it just didn't fit me. I'm not a person who likes doing bookwork and a huge amount of figures. I'm okay with figures, but it didn't really suit me. But my other jobs have been through Department of Transport and the Home Office, working on things like delivery of the UK's driving licence. I led the project to design that product. I also worked with the Passport Office to design the passport. So number of different major projects for government, and that they've taken a lot of time based in London. I do like the life in London when I've been there, and I've enjoyed, and it's given me extra skills and extra experiences that I brought back to Swansea.
Excellent. The reason I asked you about London is that's why I'm interviewing you in terms of my channel, my live channel, which is a broadcasting Carolyn Williams, and I will post this on YouTube and my channel. But the reason I talked to you about London was that I went to London on that Great Western Railway train to become a graduate for London Rail. And in that studio in London, there was no pressure like you're under pressure at the minute. You know, being behind a camera, having to speak, and having to slow down the Welsh emotion. So can you tell us a little bit about how that works for you? Because you're constantly in the limelight. When you speak live, can you give any tips and hints to people on how to do it?
I don't know, it comes with experience, I guess, speaking publicly. It's always intimidating, and I think if anybody says they don't get nervous before they speak, then they're not really telling the truth. I think everybody gets a bit nervous. The one thing I would say to people, if you're going to a new environment, if you're going to speak to a large audience or speak to people, be confident about what you're going to say. And remember, nobody out there knows actually what you're going to say. So if you get it wrong, nobody's going to know. Don't put pressure on yourself. It's always up there. Be genuine, speak from the heart, be accurate. Don't overpromise. That's always another good tip, especially for politicians. But if you're genuine with people, if you respond in the way that you would in any conversation, I think that really helps with the way you then get people on board to the sort of things that you're pushing or you're trying to say or you're trying to promote. So I've always taken that approach. I mean, whether I'm talking to you or whether I'm talking to the chief executive of an organisation or whether I'm talking to somebody in my ward who wants a dog bin or a street light fixed, it's the same approach, which is, I'm here to do a job. I happen to do a job which is high profile, but I'm still the same person I was.
That's amazing. That's a lovely insight to you, Rob. The reason I followed you, if you like, so not actually sort of stalking you by any means, but following you here, was through the Institute of Directors. And my first, I would say, impressive take on you was in the Marriott here in Swansea. You were giving a presentation about the future of Swansea and what that meant. And I was absolutely in awe of how much information you gave in such a short span. So you had the live at the back, you had your presentation, slides at the back, you had everything in your head. But what came across more than anything was the amount of information you gave in such a short space of time. So do you rehearse or do you have to practice that? Do you rehearse it? Tell us a bit more about what goes on.
No, I never rehearse. I always create my own presentations. The movies that you see me putting out, sometimes little movies on Facebook and stuff, whilst we've got a company that does the digital aspects of them, I put them together. I put all my presentations together myself. I create all the visuals myself in that respect. And when you do that, you sort of absorb all of the facts, and you have to know them, because if you're putting something together, you want to understand how it's going to sound to the audience. So I've never been of the school where I get somebody else, in my organisation to put a few slides together for me and they pass them to me, and then I try and think what the person who put them together was trying to say. It doesn't really work. So I've always done that. And again, when you're a leader, you're privy to a lot of information. It is often a challenge to digest a lot of that, and I don't always hold it all in. But it does give you the opportunity to have a wider view of things that are going on. And of course, I've been very clear from the start when I took over as leader in 2014, I wanted to make a dramatic step change in what we do as a city in Swansea. I was very clear about what I wanted to achieve in terms of ambition, the change in the city, the change in the opportunities for people. So in that respect, everything I'm saying comes from what I believe, not what I've read or what I think should happen or what others have told me should happen. It's about a belief. So it's easier to retain in terms of information then.
That's what came across, because I'd not long graduated, and I'd been studying with people from all over the world how to go live and how to engage the audience, how to capture their imagination. And what struck me from your presentations, and I've seen 2 of them now, is how passionate and authentic you are. So it literally, I call it comes from your heart. And obviously you engage the brain with it, I'm not saying, but you actually are so clear. The clarity of your authenticity for your role is massive. And I'm giving you that as a feedback because I listened to you again at the Village Hotel. So there's two plugs there, the Marriott and the Village, Swansea, with the leader of City Council here, Rob Stewart. And the second presentation sank in even more, really, from my point of view, because you were beginning to see progress. So if you like, there was more spark in your presentation because lots of your initiatives and your plans are beginning to unfold. So can you tell us, and particularly from the digital aspect, because this is alive, what do you see as the future of the digital side for Swansea?
Digital's huge for Swansea as it is for everywhere else. I mean, in the 18th and 19th century, we grew our cities and our countries by building roads and railways. The infrastructure we need to grow our cities and our communities in the 21st century is going to be digital. So having the best digital networks, the most reliable digital networks, is essential. Now, we're lucky in Swansea that we've struck a deal as part of our city deal proposals to get Openreach in. They're delivering the networks that will deliver 5th generation communications. This is the next stage of ultra fast internet. It'll allow us to do lots of things that we haven't even thought of yet. And it's essential because if I want to attract companies to come and invest in Swansea, their first question is not whether they can get parking or whether they can get to the office. It's what are your digital networks like? What is the capacity and capability in Swansea? So we will have in the next few months the fastest, most capable internet anywhere in the UK. 24,000 homes will get it in the first phase, and a number of the areas in and around, including the city centre. So it's huge that happens early on in our proposals. But again, trying to be a bit joined up, because we're digging up lots of the city centre to put in lovely new areas for people to enjoy. We've put all of that new cabling in, all of that new ducting, all of that new infrastructure in for digital in as part of the work. So it's, again, doing the sensible things together so that we make progress quicker.
That sounds awesome. And the energy level here is what I want you to explain to listeners. I've been a fitness professional for 30 years. I know what energy means. You have massive energy. So can you explain what keeps you and what drives you and where you get that energy from?
I don't always feel like I've got the energy. I've got to be clear about that. You know, I get my down days as well, like everybody else. But for me, when you believe in something and it's important to you, you go that extra mile. You go that extra hour a day or 2 hours a day to get the job done. And I was always clear, both when I was working in government and when I became a leader. I never compelled anybody to do anything. I'd always ask, I'd always encourage, and I'd try and inspire. Because actually, if you can convince people to do the things that you need them to do, and you encourage them, and you get them to see the value of what they're doing, people will do far more for you than they ever would if you compelled them.
True. And the reason you're being interviewed by me is because I graduated as a Speak to Inspire speaker. And what I saw in you was inspirational. And what you're trying to achieve is inspirational. It's massive. So come back to another kind of question, and this is really for the American audience. And this is American Real, and it's the founder is Brian. I always say this is a mistake. Roger Brooks in New York, uptown, and he's created America Real, and therefore I know a great deal of the membership there. They're from all of the states naturally around New York. Some are from Minnesota, Buffalo, you name it. And I know them now by name. I know them by their, I would say, their future outlook on the digital era in terms of where we are with this. So can you then tell us how you managed to pull off the absolutely enormous breakfast weekend? So it was a BBC weekend. Because I actually put that out to my American followers as being awesome, number one. So how did you pull that off?
Well, first of all, it wasn't me. It was the fantastic team, the events team that we have in Swansea. But it started actually with a conversation. We were talking to the team, and we'd learnt that Glastonbury, which is a huge festival in the UK every year, was taking a break year. And sometimes I like to be the maddest person in the room. And I said, well, wouldn't it be great if we could get a Glastonbury style event in Swansea? And I got some looks back going, really? But I challenged the guys to say, well, look, let's see what we can do. Let's go out there, because I think everybody thinks, oh, well, nobody will come to our hometown. We'll never get so-and-so here or so-and-so here. But actually, if you engage in the right way, you can get it. So the team worked really hard with the BBC, managed to secure Swansea as the central location for the biggest weekend. And, we were in a wonderful position there where we had Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, Demi Lovato, and a host of other really fantastic A-class stars. I mean, we were trending. Swansea was trending #1 in Brazil for a while, which is just amazing and crazy. But it was fantastic. It went wonderful 2 days for the people of Swansea and South West Wales to enjoy the best acts in the world, and that's part of the ethos, which is people shouldn't have to travel away to see the best things. Sometimes we can bring them to Swansea or to bring them to the city that I love. So, that's the ethos that we work by.
Well, that weekend was, enormous from the point of view of the stars and the celebrities. It was enormous from the point of view of traffic.
Yeah.
And because I was stuck in traffic, I think it took 4 hours out of my day that day, I remember. And then I took myself off, because I do a lot of downtime and relaxing in the Gower. So I was taking off through Clyde, and that was on the Sunday. And even on the Sunday, I was meeting celebrities driving. They'd obviously had a break, and driving back to the parks, Singleton Parks. And you could hear, because I arrived at Three Cliffs, I parked the car in the car park, got out, and you could actually hear the music. And it was Neil Horan that was singing. And I just couldn't believe how powerful that was, because A, he was very good. B, the crowd was obviously in full swing. And it was a beautiful, beautiful weekend of weather. We had blue skies. We had warm weather. So everything seemed to fall. The universe seemed to work for that weekend. Am I right?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, when we get the weather, which we often do in Swansea, the sunshine, we've got wonderful beaches, wonderful bays, wonderful natural environment. We are the UK's first area of outstanding natural beauty. I mean, there's so much in Swansea that I would love people around the world to see. And it was a great advert for us. When you get A-list stars, like you mentioned, who are followed worldwide, to have them in Swansea playing gigs, enthusing people, it was just such a happy time in the city. People had a wonderful vibe, and it was a great 2 days, as you say, and the weather just really made it amazing.
What a showpiece!
What a showpiece indeed.
Following on there, I also picked up a information from Facebook. So I'm mentioning Facebook because I follow you on Facebook, about the meeting that you had with a huge, huge, huge star called Brian May.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because obviously he's a global interest, but you tell us and explain what happens there.
Yeah, look, I'm a big Queen fan, always have been. Major band when I was growing up, and to meet Brian May was just like one of my childhood dreams. So the reason Brian was actually in Swansea was because, again, in the Gower, where we have, as I said, natural beauty, which is fantastic, we've also got an opportunity to run a project there looking at how we deal with bovine TB, but don't have to kill badgers in order to do it. And Brian has been helping to fund that project. And we're going to work with him next year, or later this year, to do that. But it gave us an opportunity also to talk about potential for a special event in Swansea, a special screening of Bohemian Rhapsody, which might see Brian and a few other friends turn up to. So I can't say too much about that yet, because we're still finalising the details, but it'll be a great event if it happens later this year in Swansea.
So let's watch this space.
Watch this space indeed.
The the link between Bohemian Rhapsody was a film I went to see, and obviously Rami Malek, who acted as Freddie Mercury, took part there, and Brian, as a result, has gone from London to Hollywood and New York, etc. So it's to a lot of members because he's global. So following the link between his name, Brian May, and Gower, I have a love for Gower, you have a love for Gower. Can you talk us through what Gower actually means to Swansea people?
Oh, look, we are so blessed. We forget it sometimes, but we are so blessed with the natural beauty that, you know, the city sits in, because literally within 10 minutes, you can be on a wonderful golden sand beach. Surfing is amazing in the area. You know, we have wonderful marine life that we are able to enjoy during the summer months. And then in Gower itself, you've got natural beauty in terms of parks, and wildlife, you know, and literally within 10 minutes of the city centre. It is such an amazing place to live. And, you know, Gower is a wonderful place. We protect it. You know, we're very careful with development on Gower. But it is a wonderful place to live in and to visit.
Do you have a favourite place that you sort of go to in private? And
yeah, my favourite place in Gower is Rosilly Bay. And again, it's, you know, it's near Worm's Head. It's a wonderful place to go walking, because I do like to do hill walking and coastal walking, but the beach there is just phenomenal. It's one of the treasures of the Welsh coastline. I
agree. There was a weekend when I had German visitors here from Passau, and they had never been to Swansea. They stayed in the Marriott, and I took them to Rosilly, and we had gale force winds that weekend. And I remember,
sometimes do.
as you sometimes do. So I was rather concerned that they would stay on the cliff and not off it, because it can get quite airy. I mean, the winds there, and I know that there's a coastal point, and you've got a centre there. So how important is the coastguarding for us here in Swansea?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've got coastguards which are based out of various areas around the coastline. They do a fantastic job. You know, they by and large keep people safe, but it's not always possible, as we know. You know, there are sometimes incidents, but our coastline is fantastic. It's natural. It's there for people to enjoy. We want people to stay safe, and you know, we have wonderful beaches which thousands of visitors turn up to in the summer months and really enjoy. So it's a great place.
From the point of view of names and who you want to attract, and the digital side of it, can you explain to us what we can, and I've heard that you said about the speed of internet, and I'm looking forward to that, because sometimes I'm with Virgin Media, and Sky had been with. How important is it for us to have a faster speed in terms of the network?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just, you know, people like yourselves who suffer with sometimes slow Wi-Fi speeds and others. It's about what that does to what we're able to do with the technology we have. So, for instance, fifth generation networks are going to allow us to do things that we perhaps sound a little bit sci-fi, but actually are on the cusp of actually operating. So people already know about drone deliveries that operate driverless vehicles. Well, to make those work really well, you have to have networks that are really fast, but also really, really reliable. And it's the reliability bit that's hugely important for fifth generation. But if you just take it outside of that, maybe to medical developments, in Swansea, we've already developed intelligent bandages, which will tell doctors remotely how people are healing. So if you think about that, if you're living in a rural community, you don't then have to disturb your whole day by taking a few hours out to travel miles to your doctor to get him to take a look at your bandage and your injury. That can be done remotely. And even better, in the next generation, they'll be able to have the medicines contained within the bandage so that the doctor can remotely alter the medication to assist the healing. So that's a medical application that can come from really strong networks. But at the basic level, you can have consultations with your doctor, which again exists with 4G, but will become more prominent with 5G. But it's, as I said, it's the things that you don't think of or that we haven't yet thought of that fifth generation is going to do. I mean, you think back to Steve Jobs when he invented the first iPhone. Nobody thought that it would change the way in which family life operates in terms of people sitting around a table not talking to one another, for instance. You know, with you know, the millennials and the next generation of people coming up, they've grown up with this technology, and what comes next is going to be an even greater change. I think that's the thing, and we should embrace that, because you can see it as a negative, but actually it's how you use technology and how you use that for the good in the next generation is going to be really, really important. And I'm just confident that I want Swansea and our region to be part of what we develop to exploit those networks so that we bring better ways of living to people. I mean, for my own city, for instance, you know, things like we will change the way in which we collect rubbish, because we'll have intelligent bins that will tell us when they need to be collected so that we alter the routes. We can without human intervention, change traffic flows so that people can get to their destinations more quickly. That'll cut pollution as well. So, and obviously, there is a potential which is being worked on at the moment for not only for people to have the driverless vehicles that we mentioned, but actually for people to have no vehicles in ownership, but they just have vehicles that come and pick them up and take them to where they need to be on a personal basis. So those are the sorts of, if you like, longer term changes to how we live. They'll be made capable and possible by the networks that we'll have. So digital is going to be huge.
Fascinating insight, Rob, and thank you for that insight. It's awesome. Have you heard of Jay Shetty? I'm going to put you on the spot there. He's now he's very young, he's still in his 30s, but he's become viral globally. And I met him through a London network, polyacademy.com. They were the first platform before LinkedIn. And he was given to me as somebody that was a monk, so he was known as the urban monk. He went viral very quickly, and it was Ariana from the Huffington Post that scooped him up to New York, which is where he went. And now he's joined the Forbes era. He is massive, and he's actually come back to London, because he's from London, to talk on the breakfast show in the morning. Now, so he have a lot of questions about, tell us why you became a monk, and now you're a media superstar. So have you come across Jay Shetty? That was the question to you.
Not in a great deal. I am aware of him, but I couldn't claim to be a knowledgeable person on his journey.
Well, his journey is like your journey. That's why I'm teaming you up. So that's a compliment to you. In fact, passionately talk about the insights to the future of medicine. And your comment there was, we need to embrace it. We don't need to fear it. And I love that, because Jay has spoken on breakfast television, that was yesterday, about how we need to embrace it in the way you talked about, to realize the importance of the future with being digital. And you look positive, not a negative.
Absolutely. I mean, you can use anything for negative purposes, but actually that shouldn't stop us making progress. I mean, it's about how we, as a community, as a population, embrace technology to better our lives. I mean, that's the point. I mean, you think about it. If we decided not to use washing machines and not to use microwave ovens and not to use televisions, how different our lives would be. But would they be as good? I don't think so. I mean, and that's 20th century technology, not 21st century technology.
Yes. Well, you've made me smile. I'd like to sort of round it and to include it about the tremendous win we had last Saturday. Wales were playing in Cardiff. I'm explaining that to our American listeners and London listeners. And the traffic, in terms of the England coach, had to come through Newport, which was where you come from. Tell us about that Newport route and what that meant to you really personally. What that English coach coming through Newport, coming through Cardiff to play Wales in the Principality Stadium. What was that like for you, Rob?
Oh, look, I am a huge rugby fan, like most people in Wales. And what people who don't come from Wales need to understand is rugby is like a religion to us. You know, we take it so seriously, and if we win, everybody's happy. If we lose, everybody's really depressed. And there is no bigger game for us than the game against England. They are our old friends and our old enemies, and there is nothing better a Welsh person likes than a victory over England. And when the English came down last week, we in Wales, of course, often get deluged by media which is based in London and based in England, which has an English perspective, especially on sporting events. So we were told in the run-up to that match how difficult it was going to be for Wales and how England were going to win it and go on to win the Grand Slam. And over the last maybe 10, 15 years, a number of times England have come down the M4 and we've sent them back with frowns on their face and tears in their eyes. So we were pleased to do that again. I was out with my friends celebrating in Swansea, and it was a wonderful day. And I just hope Wales now go on to get victories over Scotland next week, and then Ireland the week after, and take home the Grand Slam.
Enormous games ahead, exciting times ahead. I watched it too. I lost my voice completely. Watching Dan Bigger get the roar of the crowd, give that pass to Josh Adams was absolutely on everybody's heart and mind. Then seeing the queues, the length of queues to on St Mary's Street. The whole length of St Mary's Street.
Yeah.
We see that in Swansea on Street and the Kingsway.
There were queues for people to get even into the railway station to get on the trains to get to Cardiff. I mean, there were, but you know, Swansea and our sort of nightclub party area, pub area is obviously called Wine Street in Swansea. People will know it. There were 20 to 30,000 people just in a street which is a few hundred yards long, and people were just enjoying themselves and celebrating. It was amazing.
And the policing of that is an important point to bring here. In terms of a small street, with the amount of capacity of the crowd there, that's really about policing it and how well they do it. And the crowd, obviously, being passionate rugby supporters. How do you perceive that in terms of security?
Yeah, look, Wine Street sometimes gets a bad rap, but we designed Wine Street along with the police because it's easier, as you've indicated, for the police to help keep that area safe by having everybody in a smaller area rather than people migrating from one area of the city to the other, which, you know, you can get difficulties then. But what we also do, of course, in that area is not just the police, but the health services. They have a remote station there where if somebody does get injured, falls over or whatever, or needs medical attention, or if there's an incident, the police and the health service are there together to help those people. So again, you know, our sort of statement on this is, you know, go out, enjoy, have a great time, and if you get into difficulties, we're there to support you and help you. But you know, don't cause trouble for people and don't get into difficulties, because we can create a wonderful environment for you to have a great time and enjoy a wonderful Wales win, and that's what the overwhelming majority of people do.
And the same for obviously Swansea City football. I mean, their legacy is now, from a point of view of film, there's a film from a Jack to a King has been done. How do you see their performance, and where do you see their future, the Swansea City Football Club?
Well, I really hope the Swans go back up into the Premiership. I mean, it's so wonderful to have a Premiership team in Swansea as we had for 7 odd seasons. They're in the Championship at the moment, which actually gives us more games in the city, but obviously not the same global reach for the football team that we had while they were in the Premiership. So we are very keen to see the Swans get back up to where we believe they belong. And, you know, the club have been through some difficult times in recent months. I think every club goes through that. But, you know, they're doing okay. They're doing okay in the Championship at the moment. And, you know, it's very hard to go directly back up from the Championship to the Premiership for any team. But, you know, it's not beyond the wit. Swans have done it a few times now, and I'm right behind them to get back up into the Premiership.
exciting times there. One of the things that I get very excited about, where you're concerned in the Swansea City event, is red arrows, because my father was an RAF pilot. So I, like a child, every time you have your air show, go to the window and get outside and get as close as I can. And I often drive to the airport, the Fairwood Swansea Airport, just to see them up close and personal. What does that mean to you as a person, again, having the red arrows here and the airport?
Oh yeah, fantastic. I mean, look, the air show, which started about 10 years ago now in Swansea, we made it the Wales National Air Show, and Swansea is now the home to the Wales National Air Show. Every summer, we get 2 days of wonderful displays, including the red arrows. 250,000 people turning up around our wonderful world-class Swansea Bay to watch a fantastic air show. And it's been great. The weather over the last few years has been really good to us, and it's been really hot on every one of the days. But, the red arrows are something else. They are fantastic. And, it's always a crowd pleaser. This year, it'll be a bigger and better air show than ever before, because, of course, it's Swansea's 50th birthday this year. And, all of our events will be bigger to celebrate Swansea being 50 years as a city.
So coming back to you being an inspirational leader, and what excites you, Rob, personally, what does excite you?
In terms of the city, you mean?
No, personally.
Personally.
I've explained how watching the red arrows for me, there's nothing more magical in my life to watch them. So what is it that you personally feel fired up about?
Okay, so look, I'll do a couple of different takes on that. I mean, in my personal life, my professional life, obviously politics is a big thing for me. I wouldn't be a politician if I didn't have strong views on politics and on fairness, on equality, on justice, on trying to speak up for those who are less advantaged than us, and trying to make a fairer society. There is far too much of a divide in society. So, trying to get to a position where not everybody can achieve the same thing, but everybody can get a fair opportunity, and everybody can get the same. It's about equity, isn't it? It's about making sure that not everybody gets the same thing, but everybody gets what they need. And that's part of what I believe in terms of politics, and I'm very driven on that. In terms of my private life, my family is huge to me, and I'm blessed by a very big family. We have great times together, and it's much of my my principles and that are brought by my family, especially my mum and my dad. My mum was a force of nature and a great parent, so that's really important to me. And then in terms of my interests, rugby is huge. Sci-fi, I'm a bit of a sci-fi geek in my private life. I was over the moon to have Doctor Who filming in Swansea just last week, and I got to meet Jodie Whittaker, Stephen Fry I got to meet, and a number of other stars, so it was amazing for me to do that. And no, I mean, look, I love music. I'm a musician. I learned to play organ. I used to teach organ, piano and keyboard. Music's a big part of my life, and again, that's why I was keen to get the biggest weekend to Swansea. But yeah, I mean, those are the things that drive me. But underneath everything is making sure you're happy, because if you follow your dreams for any other purpose, then they're fake gods. If you follow money or if you follow power, they are not the things. They are illusions. Fame is an illusion. Follow happiness and do the things that make you happy.
That's so profound, and what a way to finish a wonderful, inspirational interview with you. Everything that you said there was something that we value as American Real. The members there go through the family values, the core values. I loved what you said about the equity part of it, in giving fairness to everybody. So you're actually, we call this on point, Rob.
Well, I'm glad to be on point. And we didn't rehearse it.
None of this is rehearsed. But I saw something in you, and I was right. So I'm just very pleased that you gave me the opportunity to share your views and how you feel the future of Swansea City is going to be and what it means to us people here living here. And thank you so much for taking time out. I do appreciate it in terms of you had lost a vital member of your family, and this is something that we think about for you and your family, as we all lose people ourselves. And but what an inspirational son of a family you are. So I'm sure they're very proud of you, Rob.
Oh, thank you so much for those kind words. And look, I really appreciate the opportunity, and would love to do it again sometime.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.